Luis, you had a question?
No,
Sure. You will have a question. Okay. All right. We're going to continue with SNMP monitoring. So, wireless network management system. Trango has its own NMS. Okay. This is not a sales pitch. I swear. So, Trango NMS has developed their own NMS system. Now, Trango NMS, it's only for the Orion and Lynx and SL24E models. So if you have pluses, it's not going to work for you, okay? And it does not pull any OIDs, it's not pulling SNMP stats for something that is not a Trango device. So switches, servers are out the window. It's only for our radios, okay? Now, the good thing about it is, it's a monitoring tool. You can actually do parameter changes through the NMS. It's not only just to monitor, you can actually apply changes through it. So, we're going to the features. Automatic Trango discovery of Trango devices. Monitoring of Trango devices. Configuration of Trango devices. Fault management. You can have traps, alarms, and event logs. Performs monitoring in real time and history statistics. Schedule bulk operations. But that will mean software upgrades, configuration backup, and reboots. This is handy for the software upgrades. You can just tell it when to do the upgrade, and which is going to be first, which is going to be last. Security management, you have users, roles, and views. Now this is a nice feature because in a company, from any small, medium to big company, you have levels, right? You have your CEO, CTO, you have your engineers, you have your field guys, you have your sales guys. So you can actually give different users different views. So the boss, right? He wants to know everything's running fine. So you want the boss to go take a look at the screen and see all green lights, right? He's the boss. He doesn't care about the IP. He doesn't care about anything else. Is it working? I'm paying you to work. Okay, good. So give him access only to the views you want him to see. Pretty much a really nice layer of the network, okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Just show me the devices
Yes.
that are up, don't show me the devices.
Yeah, those down. So, for example, your field guys, you can give them access to everything you want. For your tier 3 support, give them access to your actual management system and change all the parameters. For field crews that are just getting into the company, you can give them access only to the view parameters. Also, per alarm and traps, emails, who gets the email first, who gets it later. Licensing, limiting by use by number of devices, time, and features. Now this is, John, you're gonna have to help me here on how do we sell the product by licenses, but I think in the middle as we go along, okay? Like we said before, this is a NMS for our products Orion, Lynx, Apex, and Gigas in the SL24E. Okay. Software architecture. It's a server client-based application, so the server is safe located in your NOC. It's sitting with a bunch of servers. You have each client is different. Now, client configuration. The features are that each client can be independently configured to a specific service level. So if it's an engineer, if it's a sales guy, if it's a field guy, each one in his computer can have a client directly configured to his needs. By that I mean, let's say the engineers. If a link unlocks for any reason, you could have an alarm with a sound. So I'm going to tell you what I have. In our office, if a link unlocks, I have George of the Jungle screaming at me. Okay, so I mean it's really handy, just so that you know what happens right there and now. This can be run on Windows or Linux. I know you guys are CLI Linux guys, so I know you have Linux. Now, before you install our platform, you have to use a SQL database. This is PostgreSQL. There's a free service. If you have an SQL database already running on Windows, you can just add it to your SQL database. This is free. So before you actually set up our NMS system, you must create a database. The reason this is good is because in case the server crashes, in case something happens to it, it's in the closet with the brooms and mops and everything. If something happens to it, you can always go back and get a file backup to that database and just start working on it again. We're going to go to the feature, not through the features, I'm going to explain a little more about them. So, automatic discovery of Trango devices. Now, this is not a way to install by any means or first initial setup. It's not. This is a discovery tool that will actually discover radios that are already on your network. Okay. This doesn't mean that you're gonna take it out of the box, plug it into your network, and it has the same default IP. So you still have to put an IP on it, put it in the same subnet, and then you can discover the radio. Of course, if it's everything on the same subnet as the default, they will find it, but I doubt it. So you can discover the devices, monitor Trango devices. One thing I do like a lot about our product is that the MIB files and OIDs are already embedded in. So you don't have to go look for any OID number, parameter, no. You just add the device via the IP, and after that you do right-click statistics and you will get a full page of RSSI, MSE, threshold statistics. Everything is done for you. You don't need to add specific MIB files or OIDs. It's already in the software. So that's pretty handy. So the user interface. So you can see here on the left-hand side we have network topology. Then you can do subgroups of the actual links. So we have, for example, here the lab units where I'm testing, the lab testings. Then we have a link. So in the actual system, you can define which is the local and remote. When you do that, the local is going to be the higher end unit, and then the remote is going to be the lower end unit. So you know which is going to which. So we have a graphical interface, we have a map, with locations. Again, this is done through the actual string on the radio. How do we discover the devices? You can do by IP range, subnet mask, and SNMP WAP. Depends if you change the default one. You put them in here, the range from which IP to which IP and which subnet, and you will get a list of devices. Device configuration. Once we have the actual device on the NMS system, we can do a lot more with it. Instead of going to the CLI or the web, we can just remote into the device to be here and change parameters. However, when you do save and apply from here, keep in mind it's going to be instantaneously done and the radio end. So if you save for some reason and you did not want to do that, you're done. Okay, you must know what you're doing. So we have here transfer frequency and receive, the TR spacing, the duplex, channel bandwidth, modulation rates, IP addresses, NTP server. Everything that is in the radio is at your fingertips here. Now, remember I told you guys you don't need to know any OID? Well, here it is. By default, every radio has the 9 parameters to monitor. When you do right-click statistics, you're going to have your RSSI, MSE, ACM, link lock, modem BDR, class of service, RF port utilization, and RF port rate. You can add more, but these are the default ones. Really handy. You don't need to import MIB files or nothing. Just right-click and you will have the information. The question I get asked all the time here is there going to be future support for the pluses down the line? ETA, still get back to you with that one, okay? We don't know.
Is that the global view there? Is that kind of what it looks like? Or?
Yeah, so the global view is pretty much that interface. That's when you log in, just typically this is what you will see.
And you can zoom in and...
Correct. Now, if you look, so this one, for example, this is the geographical map. So you will see the, again, the line is the up or down, link status, lock, distance to get in miles, the transfer and receive frequency, the duplex, and the receive frequency, and you have, your green line. And again, what does your boss want to see? What are we monitoring? We want to see the links are up and running. So all green lines, I mean, it's working. Red, something's wrong. And then on top of that, you will see if there's something wrong with the radio, you will see a gray mark here or a red mark on the actual radio. That's a downlink. And the problem is going to be the far side, because this is where you see the actual indicator. Now, there's a graphical view, and that's you overlay the actual Google map on top. And then there's a logical map, which is just simply from where this is the local to the remote site. You know, just a blue line from where to go, where to where it's going. Inventory. Now this is always handy. If you want to pull up a list of all your Trango devices on the network, show firmware version, FPGA version, serial numbers, OMU serial number, IDU serial number, you will get an Excel spreadsheet with all of that populated for you. So this is a really handy feature.
Are there any other tools for helping you troubleshoot with this? Well, I mean, does it show like where your loss of signal is, or what the issue is at that site? Or does it just show that the link's down and there's a problem at that end of the link?
It will just give you the link down, and it will give you the mark of which is the site, the local or remote. But as far as tell you, oh, your IF cable is bad, or your...
Well, it's not telling you that, but I mean, from that point, you go to the actual radio IP address and troubleshoot.
Yes.
You're not using NMS anymore.
Well, the NMS is giving you graphical information on all the
Historical
stats,
data.
so that's going to help you pinpoint,
So there's already
isolate
enough
the problem.
feedback from that to troubleshoot from there.
Now, again, it will give you historical data all the way down to, I think it's every couple minutes, so it's up to you how you want to set it up. But it was helpful as far as it will tell you at least where to go directly, so the local or far side. I like this feature, the inventory one, because you have everything in your fingertips and it's on a spreadsheet. I really do like this feature. Fault management. So we can see here, if something goes wrong, you will see on the left side which is the radio that it's down. It will give you a rundown of what is not detected on the network as well.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's really easy to import down, right?
Yes.
And print.
Yeah. You just do export, and then you will have a CSV file. So you will give you a little spreadsheet.
Cool.
Event configuration. So what happens in any SNMP manager, any NMS system, you set up thresholds, right? So if something happens, like a link unlock, what is the severity? What is the emergency number you're going to give it? So here you can set up, there's already a pre-scenarios of what could happen. If radio reboots, has PDRs, it unlocks, things like that. What do I do? Forward to where and what type of support you got to give it. So it will forward to a specific email list you already set up in the NMS. Now, the audible alarm, this is what I really do like about it, because it screams at me every time something happens. Fault management, there's a history, so this is the actual time and date when it's happened. So you can come in here and then just do check or uncheck, which means that I acknowledge the alarm and I'm going to do something about it. Schedule task, configuration backup, software upgrades, and reboots. So software upgrades is one of the most tedious things to do sometimes, right? Especially to the CLI. So you can schedule this through the management interface. You can say, well, my link is going to be scheduled to firmware upgrade at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to start with the far side, it's going to reboot, then it's going to be the local side. You can leave everything there and then have all your firmwares in one local folder when it's going to grab it and send it to the radio. So this will be in a sense your FTP server as well. Reboot. If I need to reboot a radio, uptime gets a little up there, or you do a firmware upgrade and you do not want to reboot until late morning or middle of the night. Configuration backup. If you want to pull the config from the radio every time. The config backup, I would suggest more for the Australian 24s. The reason why is because 24 gigs is unlicensed, so you can change the TX frequency if you see interference or using something else. On the license band, for something to change, it's not as frequent. So, but for the 24 gigs, it is. So you can probably pull more from them than the license gear. To schedule a reboot, you're going to have your task manager, and you're going to add which devices I want to add, which I want to reboot. Now, when you add devices, the bottom device is going to be the last. So you're just going to start from the top to the bottom. So the top device is going to be the first thing to actually get rebooted. You can set a name, description, and then you add the time here. Mail to, when it's finished, where should I mail the actual results?
What's the downtime on a reboot?
Same as a power cycle, 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah. And you know when you do the reboot and do pain-t, you wait for it, and you start sweating after a minute and a half. You sweat until 5 minutes now, okay? Keep it cool in 3 minutes. Alright, so software upgrades. This in a sense is it's a FTP server. You can see here it's protocol via FTP. FTP type, it can be internal FTP, so your actual server becomes your FTP folder. Or you can do external, and you can point it to a Trango one or to one of your network. The file name, you already have it stored in your FTP folder. In this case, Apex Orion, and you put the user credentials for the folder. Configuration backups. Again, you put a name to the task, what is going to be the name of the radio, description, when was it as well for the start date. Do you have to repeat it? Again, on the licensed gear, I will do it probably once every month, if any. For the unlicensed 24 gigs, I'll do a little more frequent.
How often is everybody updating these? I assume they're not if they're not broken.
Yeah, and what happens is the config file is mostly for frequency-based, frequency, ATPC powers, things like that. So really, once you set up a link, you shouldn't be able to change anything unless you see MSC problems, interference problems.
You don't want to take it down.
And you don't really mess with them after up and running. I mean,
So don't reboot them periodically just for the sake of rebooting.
No.
Yeah, I would imagine your customers would enjoy that.
the only thing on the 24 gigs, it is a little more. People go in there and they're start looking at the RSSI typically because as more vendors are coming to the market. 24 gigs is getting more populated. It happened like 5 gigs, 5.8, 5, for example, now 5.1.
So fine tuning.
Yeah, 5.1. I can tell you, for example, the Alton. There's places where they put up a link in 5.1, and they just cannot get a good RSSI because it's already crowded. I mean, downtown areas, things like that. 5.1, it's already being used like crazy. So 24 gigs. We're not the only provider that does it. So, and unfortunately, I'm gonna brag about Trango. We are the ones that do it correctly because we can actually do a narrow channel bandwidth on this, so you can go from all the way 60 to a 20 meg channel. Other guys, they just do the full 80 meg channel open, so they don't respect anything. They just blast, across the entire 80 meg channel. So we can mitigate that by going to a lower channel and then be a little more resistant of the link. So we do it right. Configuration backup. Once you hit config, you can have the actual firmware version, and you can see what is the actual information you're backing up. So when you start the actual any activity, a reboot, a firmware upgrade, a backup, you're gonna have your task manager. So you have your actual task list, and then what's executing at that moment. After it's completed, 100%, you will have the success from back. You will have a full bars. Device rebooted or firmware upgrade in this case. Access control users. So we're talking about who has access to the NMS, right? You want to give access to, in this case we have the general admin user. We have Chris, our VP of Engineering, Daniel, Enterprise Admin, and the viewer. So the difference is, Chris can have access to anything. He makes a radio, he can crash it if he wants. Daniel, sales team. He should only get in there to view the actual NMS system, look at the geographical information, look at statistics, look at what he can actually, statistic-wise, what he can gather from there. Enterprise admin, that will be me. I set out the passwords and I tell who can actually go where. And the viewer. This I would like to use for field guys, people that don't have a lot of experience. Just want to go in there and see if there's a link down or not.
I got a question. Why'd you leave admin then?
Oh, because I'm a super admin, the enterprise admin.
Mm-hmm.
Really, just because I like to use the enterprise admin. I mean,
So you just left the extra admin in there just to do it?
yeah. I was gonna put super admin to me, but why brag?
Emperor admin.
Oh, that's a good one. Profiles. So everyone has the user, right? So we have the admin, Chris, Daniel. Now, which profile they want to use? A viewer, enterprise admin, or a tech, or the admin. Tech is the one that I can tell, for example, okay, a tech can have access to, let's see here, view events, topology changes, task configuration, acknowledgement of events. That will be something a little more advanced. The viewer, I will only restrict it to view events and view events and discovery view and performance view, for example. That will only give him that. Control views, again, who gets what. Let's see if I have a passwords. So we can have here for each user, change the password periodically every 30 days or a couple months, or never change it. It's up to us. One of my favorite features of the system, connected users. I can see who's connected in the NMS, okay, who left their computer on or who's not doing anything. And my favorite part, I can bump them off, okay? So if somebody's there just looking around or leave the computer open, I can just close the session and that's it. So I can see who's in there at what time and what they actually did.
So you were saying before that like any number of people can actually log into this as long as they have the credentials, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with this particular program, you can go, oh wait, Steve's in there. No, Steve, you weren't. But this is the only way to do that.
Yes.
Otherwise, just everybody's in.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no max number of clients at the same time, no session timeouts.
And there's some accountability because you can see
What their
they're
tasks
doing.
were, yeah.
it's nice.
How do you guys mitigate ex-employees or somebody that shouldn't be on there anymore?
Delete the
Being on?
user.
Starters probably don't put it on a public IP address.
Yeah.
When they're gone,
Yeah.
when they're gone, kill their VPN.
Yeah.
Then
That's
generally, you
Yeah.
can rekey the rest of the house later, but if you
Active
kick
Directory
them out
just,
the door,
yeah.
yeah.
The VPN would be the key there.
LDAP integration. No. Okay? You're looking at me. You're like,
you read too much into my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm wiping my eyes.
Yeah,
It
he's
does
like-
say LDAP. It says radius and CACAX is what it says.
yeah, especially those radios guys, yeah. Yeah, you were looking at it like, I know what it's asking.
No, we had to let somebody go a couple weeks ago, and that was exactly how I did it. Though I mean, I was there, and we had their workstation as a virtual machine at the office because they were a remote worker, and so their VM was there, and so I changed their password, and then as soon as the conversation was over, we spoke to him by phone, and as soon as the conversation was over, I just
Click.
actually
Yeah.
I think it was even just before the conversation was over, I disabled their VPN connection, and so their screen would have just gone, boom, and
Yeah, there you go.
that's it.
That's a way of killing it. I mean,
But at least, I mean, and I think that's a good way though.
Well, I was just curious because if someone is, like they were saying, right, how you had different levels of access, and if you have a guy that's out there doing the configurations with the highest level, and then the ownership is only seeing rudimentary level access, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's the classic ex-employee just,
oh, I see.
right?
Yeah, no, in
You lock
this
you guys
case.
out.
Did you hear about the admin in the Bay Area that was in jail and they were still asking for the password?
Oh,
Like
really?
City or
Yeah.
county of San Francisco. I mean,
Really?
he's
Yeah.
in jail.
Right?
He's in jail, and he won't give him the passwords to their network. Yeah, so
That's
it's like-
power to you, dude.
Thing,
Yeah, and so what are you gonna do about that? Yeah,
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah. Pick who you frost.
right. Okay. Well, yeah, that's user wise. That's what we do. We just delete the
But
user.
Trango manages all your users and your employee issues. You know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's an upgrade key.
Yeah.
We'll
So-
talk to your people.
So now we're going to go into system administration. So now we're going to go into this real quick. There we go. System logging, administration for audit trail. So this is what happens when an alarm comes up. What can we see when it started? Does somebody acknowledge it or not? Know about interfaces. So this interface can actually trigger more SNMP servers, just in case. Email server, fault management, and server settings. The email, the email is really nice to set up, really easy. Not jumping through hoops. You can use any pub, Gmail, anything like that. You can form groups really fast. This is the client side, so when you're in the client, you can just do either the IP of the server or in the actual server. When you're in the server, you must have a local client to connect. So you do local host, and then you connect to the actual computer there. Audit trail. Log users' actions in the system. Okay, who did what when they landed there. The user may perform the following actions. Refresh the view by clicking the refresh button. Of course, filter the view by clicking the filter. Export the CSV file. Print the data by clicking print. Move between pages by using the add or delete the add button back and forward. Sort the table by clicking on one or more column headers. Now the CSV, I think, is one of the most important things on the inventory, because for you to get a list of all your firmwares, all your serial information, it's the diligence. You have to go one by one by one by one. When you have more than 50 links, that gets to be quite a task, right? So here you can just pull the spreadsheet down and you're done. Of course, you're gonna have to buy all new Orion Linux models. Okay, guys? So, audit trail, here it is. What happened, who did the user who did it, and then he requested a topology change, removed topology, he did a view events, he configured the Nova interfaces, he did a schedule reboot, a schedule firmware as well. So you can see everything in detail, what he's doing. Know about interfaces, so here we can set up another SNMP manager. The reason why is just to have another SNMP manager on a different subnet, or you can public IP, you can go and do here.
Can that be? Is that intended to be a secondary Trango NMS, or is that meant to
No.
be like the umbrella NMS that's over it? So if you had
Correct.
If you had all your different NMSs for your individual vendors, it's so that they can all bubble up to one screen that says,
Yep.
"There's
That's
trouble in Trango."
Correct. That's
Yeah.
exactly. That's what we call the umbrella service for any
Yeah.
other. Yeah. In this case, now you mentioned umbrella service, it's like having a big NMS and you drop each one to your client sites. So that's the same principle as this.
Yeah.
Right. So now for your email settings. So again, really simple. SMTP. Email address from where the emails are going to come from, and then your SMTP server, and the port, and then the actual email of the server itself. I would recommend having one specific for Trango, so then you know the alarm came from only the NMS. You can form groups, as I said before, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So in this case, tier 1 goes to me and Ray, tier 2 goes to Ray the Silva, tier 3 goes to the software guy.
He doesn't have a name.
The software
It's just
guy.
the software guy.
I want to keep it anonymous from you guys. I'm gonna wait for lunch. Here they come. So fault management. As we said before, right? What happens in an event? For example, here, MSC max threshold. What is it? Is it a minor event? Is it a warning? Major? Is it critical? To me, the only critical part is if I have a link unlock on me. That is critical, major, right? So I'm gonna put that as severity. and then forward IP to where my SNMP trap, forward to email. So I can do it here, forward to PRTG Trango Systems, which is my other SNMP, or I can forward to each of the peer groups that I did on email.
Oh, and so those, so specifically fault management is what do I do when I receive an SNMP trap,
Well,
right? So if it gets a trap, what do I do with that trap,
yes.
right? Right. But if it, but those traps come UDP.
So you have to go.
So for instance, let's say there was a disturbance in the force and the UDP packet didn't make it over there. Will the NMS know?
The NMS will know, but it will trigger the email as well. So this is the.
No, I guess I mean, so when the NMS can't reach the radio, that's another, that could be another critical fault. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know why it died, but I just can't get to it now, so I'm gonna scream.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that one that is I get lost connectivity, or when it pretty much skips a beat, when the ping doesn't get there, it's not alive. You will have that information. I mean, and you will get. The funny thing is, you will get a email from the server itself telling you, yes, Trango is complaining about this, and you will get an email from which device is not replying back. Sometimes it just lost connectivity. I mean, it's now that it's not passing traffic, it just the ping didn't actually went to destination.
How often does it pull or ping the equipment?
It can be configurable from 60 seconds to 2 seconds.
Okay.
I would recommend having a 60-second pool. I mean, anything below that,
You're
to
gonna
me,
get flooded.
you get flooded, and the SNMP is not going to be really happy on the Trango side. I have a customer that has every second. And you know, it just, you see the SNMP and the uptime, the load on the Trango, it's a little bit up there because it's, you know, it's passing traffic, it's getting telemetry, it's getting RF, and then it has to reply every second to that thing back forward.
How often
So-
does he check his 401k?
Every second.
Yeah.
Sometimes you should only look for it. You don't want to know what it did for the last 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, 60-second pool to me, it's a decent number, right? 2 minutes, maybe a little slow, but 60 seconds, a minute is fine. Server settings. So as I said before, this is literally your FTP site. So from here, you can set up your address type for the FTP, your FTP folder, everything internally on your computer. And if you use an external file FTP, you can point this IP to our public server, and you can just bring the firmware from there, and just go ahead and download the firmware via the FTP, and then push it to the radio.
And again, this is not to be confused with the FTP setting in the web interface.
Correct. So sysdoc server, this is, again, the sysdoc server on the radio unit where you actually put sysdoc server IP. This can be your a specific sysdoc Trango server. So you can put everything that happens and put in a log here. Database backup and restore. So the good thing about building on top on an SQL database is that you can always have a SQL file database that can be recovered if something happens. The reason why is because, you know, servers are supposed to be in a well-racked space in an air-conditioned room. Particles of dust have to be minimum, perfect lighting, you know, everything like that. But in real life, it's always not like that sometimes. You have it on the broom closet, you have it, you know, next to the microwave in the cafeteria. You know, I'm not saying that's the case for you guys, but, you know, it may happen. So in case it ever crashes, you have that SQL database backed up. And instead of adding every radio back, you can just create your database again and just load the system, and it will come back with no problems.
Well, back up your VM.
Yeah. John, before I jump into PRTG, you want to give a little description of how the NMS is sold by Trango? Because you'll get
Well, it's sold by Element.
by Element, right?
Yeah, and I think, I don't know the exact pricing off the top of my head for entry number of licenses. Maybe, do you know? Ray, what is that entry level now? $1,500 is,
1,500, I believe.
is how many elements is that, do you remember?
26, something like that.
Yeah, I can provide that to anybody interested. I don't have the exact numbers in my head, but it's $1,500 starting point for more than enough licenses for most of the people in this room. Probably not you guys. You got a lot more than that. But it is sold. It is sold by Element, and an Element is a Trango device, which is a radio.
By the element, not the link.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you do anything with the syslog information? So you're responding on traps. If syslog information gets there, is that just fun?
That
or
just,
does anything happen to it?
no, it just gets stored in a log file,
Okay.
literally, on the server.
So you're not. So the only thing that you're going to do in fault management that's going to trigger any action to happen is an actual SNMP trap.
Correct. Yeah. The system is just to tell you what happened when the radio rebooted before. That's the thing.
But if the polling fails to communicate with it, that can also
That's how your syslog.
that can actually generate a notification. So if it can't reach something,
It will
to
trigger
find
you.
out.
Yeah, it will trigger your SNMP trap. But hey, typically it's a lost connectivity to the device. That's what triggers.
And then is it smart enough to be able to actually, when you go and filter and look at your log, so I could say, only show me this radio, or only show me these two radios that are on this link, so I don't have to go pick through, you know, if I got 20 elements spraying syslog activity at this, can I filter it down to just the ones associated with this link, or with this particular node, so that you can, you know, just see what's relevant?
Yeah. No, on that one, unfortunately, just a syslog file that gets created with txt folder. So it would literally just dump everything there.
So just make your own SQL query and read out just your device you want.
Yeah.
I have the pricing here. So
Oh,
that 1,500 is for 50 elements.
For 50 elements.
Yeah,
so
and
20
then for 150 elements, it's 2,500. For 500 elements, it's 3,500, and so on.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. I mean, it's not really that expensive, so it's it starts at 25 links basically.
25 links.
Yeah, 25 links. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little quick introduction of PRTG. PRTG is a network monitoring system. Now, this is a full-blown NMS. This is not Trango. This is I don't get commission on this. Nobody does. So, but we also used it as well before we had our own NMS. The good thing about this is you can do server monitoring, switch code, switch monitoring, anything you want to use. It's an open source, right? You can put anything you want. Now PRTG for us has been really good because we can create the actual MIB file for PRTG. We can import the MIB file and just send it to you ready to go. So here we have what we want to monitor: SNMP, RSSI, and throughput. This is one key person that we like to proceed. Monitoring with PRTG. What are the top 10 sensors we like to monitor? It's link lock status, packet drops, RSSI, MSE, current speed and modulation for ACM, transient receipt profiles, temperature of the ODU and IDU, RF port utilization in megabits and percentage, and if using ATPC, what are the transmit power?
Is the RF port utilization, we saw that yesterday, is
Yes.
the RF port utilization percentage, is that a percent based on the current modulation?
Based on the actual gigabit port on the radio, so it translates from the Ethernet port directly.
Oh, okay.
Because you can, I mean, if it's modulation, even if you go to the higher modulation, you will only get 761, right? That's a max throughput. So if you go lower modulation, reduce the throughput, but you still get the same amount as the Ethernet port.
But it says RF port utilization in percent of available bandwidth, so that's why I was.
Yeah.
So basically, if the link could pass 761,
It will
and it's
be-
doing 20, it's going to say it's doing 22% of the 761, and then if I have a rainstorm,
It's going to crush a little
and
bit.
then I go down to running at CW or Morse code speed, so PS.
Yeah, QPS, yeah.
Then the percentage would actually
Of
track
the allowed
that.
bandwidth, basically.
Yeah.
Now, when you follow the actual packets across, look at the megabits per second. The RF utilization is good just to see if the modem is passing correctly everything. But what I recommend is looking at the actual megabits. Now, when you see this, if you see the Ethernet coming in with 350 megs, for example, and you see the RF going 320, that's okay. It doesn't mean it dropped 30 megs just from the Ethernet to the modem. is the average counter. But if you see, for example, 350 and you send over 250, yeah, that's something wrong. The average is going to be better between 10 and 8 megs, depending on when you actually do the get command, right? So, and this is how you see it in PRTG. So I really like PRTG as well because it's graphical. Everything is green, yellow, or red. So you can have historical data and really nice graphic as well. This is how it looks. This is the real deal. So you have everything from site radio. For example, we have black to Woodson, black to Danielson. Then we have per building here. So we have black site. This is one of our tower sites. This is Danielson, another building, Stowe building, and then Woodson now. So all the way it's in red is happy. Everything that is paused is because I paused it manually. And what is in warning is because it's meeting the threshold level. So this one is good to have. In the morning, this is called the engineer's cup of coffee. You get into the office, you look at everything, okay, here's my problem today. So you look at all the statistics, look at all the yellows, look at all the reds, and see what's happening.
PRTG is only doing SNMP get though.
Yes.
It does not. You don't do any SNMP write with
No.
it. It's just look.
It just get, yeah, only pulling.
It's network monitor.
Jose, on those top 10 sensors,
Yes.
all those parameters, can those be monitored with the Trango NMS?
Yes. You actually get more by default with the NMS, with Trango. This is just, well, at this point it's just for our Apex Pluses now because it's only for the, we cannot carry the plus on the NMS, but you get more. Off the bat, you get, I think, 12 sensors with the NMS. All right, so this is PRTG. Monitoring and debugging purposes. You can monitor individual PLO statistics, Ethernet port statistics, including egress rate per port, RF statistics, and uncorrected blocks. Now, for every Trango device, there's a specific MIB file. Luckily, on the Orion and Lynx, now we have it's just going to be named different, Apex Orion, Apex Lynx, but the MIB file, it is the same. The OID number is the same. On the previous generation, the Apex Pluses, you have to use a specific MIB file per device. Alright guys, I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes